At this point in time, we are 3 iterations in with Samsung's Z Flip series. The Flip 3 brought about some major changes by adding things like a bigger cover display and water resistance. Now, of course, Samsung has gone ahead and released the Galaxy Z Flip 4, and today what we're going to do is take a look at how it compares to the Z Flip 3. Oh, and FYI, there is no Z Flip 2, just in case you were looking for one. Taking a look at what you get in the box for both, you will get a USB Type-C to C cable, a SIM ejector tool, and a quick start guide along with the terms and conditions printed on the same pamphlet. The Flip series is the most affordable foldable that Samsung currently makes, with a starting price of $899 for the Flip 3 with 128 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM. 256 gigabytes is the highest amount of storage for the Flip 3, and that comes out to $959. The Flip 4 has a starting price of $999 for 128 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM. Fortunately, you do have 2 other storage options, which are 256 and 512 gigabytes. You'll be paying either $1,059 for the 256 gigabyte or $1,179 for the 512 gigabyte. At one point, I thought the S22 series had the most color choices of any of Samsung's devices ever, but I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. The standard Z Flip 3 colors are cream, lavender, green, gray, pink, and white, while the standard colors for the Flip 4 are Bora purple, graphite, pink, gold, and blue. Now, notice that I said the standard colors, since there's a specific reason for that. Samsung has a special edition of both devices called the Bespoke or Bespoke Edition, however you want to pronounce it, which will allow you to customize from a plethora of different color choices that really make the phone unique and personal to you. For instance, the Z Flip 3 can have its front and back customized with 5 different colors. Samsung takes it a step further by letting you customize the color of the frame with 2 colors. The Flip 4 also has 5 color choices for its front and back, but this time Samsung has added 1 more customization color for the frame in the form of a gold color. I truly have to give it to Samsung for offering even more options than I had hoped for, and I do hope that they stick with this customization option, since it gives a uniqueness to a device that we all know is going to be the same in everybody else's hands mostly. If purchasing the Flip 3 in one of the standard colors with 128 gigabytes of storage, you'll have access to all color choices with the exception of pink, while going with the 256 gigabyte gives you access to all colors with the exception of white. If you were interested in the Bespoke Edition, be aware that it is only available in the 256 gigabyte storage option. If purchasing the Z Flip 4 in one of these standard colors, you'll have access to all storage options. If you're looking to purchase the Bespoke Edition, unfortunately, it's only available in the 256 gigabyte option. I noticed that during my videos I forget to mention this, but the color choices I'm referring to are based on the unlocked models from Samsung's website. If purchasing the device through a carrier, you'll need to refer to their website in order to see if the color you want is available. Both devices utilize armor aluminum for the frame of their bodies. The Flip 3 uses Gorilla Glass Victus for its cover display, while the Flip 4 upgrades the glass on the cover screen to Gorilla Glass Victus Plus. The main displays on both devices use Samsung's own ultra-thin glass, which has been improved on the Flip 4. The format of the Flip series is sort of similar to the Fold series in the fact that you have that cover display on the front of the device, although that cover screen is on a much smaller scale. The main display is where the wow factor comes in. If you've ever wanted a large screen on a phone but didn't want that phone to take up that much space in your pocket, then that is where the Flip series comes in with its large foldable 6.7-inch display. The back of both devices doesn't really have anything going on. It's very simple and clean, as you can see here. On the left side of both the Flip 3 and Flip 4 is where you will find your SIM card tray, and not really much else. While on the right side of both devices, you'll find your power button / fingerprint reader and a single volume rocker that controls both volume up and down. On the tops of both devices, you have a single microphone. And finally, on the bottom, you'll find 2 microphones, your charging port, and a decent sized speaker grill for this device. One thing I do have to say about the Fold 4 Bespoke Edition is that the glossy glass here is quite slippery. I've put my phone on a wireless charger multiple times only to come back and find that it is literally slid off of that charger. The first time this happened, I darn near thought it was a poltergeist messing with me. You're definitely going to want to get a case regardless for both devices, but surely for this one. The Flip 3 came with an IPX8 certification, making it water resistant up to 1.5 meters of fresh water for 30 minutes. The Flip 4 comes with the same exact certification, which should give potential buyers some peace of mind. The 1.9-inch cover display on both of these devices is an interesting one. It's made to give you information at a glance by letting you see things like notifications, various widgets, and more that we'll get into in the software section of this video. The 6.7-inch main display on both devices is kind of on par with what you'd find on the Galaxy S22 and S22 Plus. The aspect ratio of these displays are also more narrow than what you would find on a traditional candy bar phone, but like I mentioned before, the beauty of the Flip series is how it gives you a large display while at the same time giving you a phone that won't take up much space no matter where you put it. There's just a certain feeling in knowing that you have this large display to watch and view content on, and when you're done, you can just close the device and store it much more easily than most other phones out there. LPDDR5 is the choice of RAM in both devices here. The Z Flip 3 is using the old but still capable Snapdragon 888, while the Flip 4 has the fairly recent Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. Both processors perform admirably, and you might not see too many differences unless you plan on doing some strenuous work with these phones. If by chance doing strenuous work is part of your plans for either of these devices, just remember that 8 GB of RAM is the max you can get on either of these devices. One thing I do want to call out during this test is the fact that the Z Flip 4 was not able to keep up stability-wise in terms of the frame rate with this extreme test. As you can see on the left, the Flip 3 had a stability score of 70%, while the Z Flip 4 had a stability score of 47.3%. Both devices have all manner of 5G tech on board, so you won't have to worry about losing out on any speed when you're in an area with 5G. There is one aspect of the connectivity standards that is different between the two. The Flip 3 has Bluetooth 5.1, while the Flip 4 comes with Bluetooth 5.2. Both devices have Wi-Fi 6 built in instead of Wi-Fi 6E. Other connectivity standards are the same as what you'd expect on a high-end device. The specs for the front-facing cameras on both devices hasn't changed. It's still a 10 megapixel shooter that will most likely just get the job done when you need it. The same might be thought about the rear cameras, but the Z Flip 4 has seen some subtle upgrades that allow it to capture more light, which should make night photos much better. To see if this is true and if there are any improvements, let's go ahead and move on to the picture samples. So let us go ahead and move on to the audio test. Now, as always, you're going to want to adjust your volume because when this song is playing, I am not going to be controlling the volume, and if you're wearing headphones, it'll be pretty loud. So let's go ahead and move right into this now. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the microphone test of both devices. This is a test of the microphone differences between the Galaxy Z Flip 3 and the Galaxy Z Flip 4. I am wondering if Samsung has improved the microphone quality on Z Flip 4 or if they have just kept it the same as what it was on the Z Flip 3. This is a test of the microphone differences between the Galaxy Z Flip 3 and the Galaxy Z Flip 4. I am wondering if Samsung has improved the microphone quality on Z Flip 4 or if they have just kept it the same as what it was on the Z Flip 3. Charging has seen a pretty decent upgrade on the Flip 4. You now have 400 more milliamps than you did on the Flip 3 for a total of 3,700 milliamps split over 2 battery cells. Wire charging also has seen an upgrade by 10 watts, which means in theory, you should be able to charge at 25 watt speeds versus the 15 watts you did on the Flip 3. Samsung even went as far as to upgrade the wireless charging by a whole 5 watts, which means you no longer have to contend with the 10 watt charging on the Flip 3. You can now charge at a whole 15 watts. Okay, that's sarcasm on that part, but at least they did upgrade the wireless charging, I guess. Let's just go ahead and move on to the battery drain test. So just to give a little background on this battery test, I used to do 4K videos and leave those for about a few seconds. However, I thought it would be a little bit better to do something that's a little bit more strenuous. So we're going to use the same exact test we did when looking at the processor portion of this video. And this is meant to give us a better idea of just how enduring these batteries can be. So let's go ahead and do this. Now, of course, this test should take about 20 minutes, so I will be back. Okay, so I am back, and we have an interesting turn of events here. So both of these devices are at 87% exactly. Now, as a reminder, the Flip 4 has a 3700 milliamp battery, while the Flip 3 has a 3300 milliamp hour battery. How did that happen? I don't know how that happened, but essentially it looks like you're gonna get the same battery life if it's anything to go off with this test. But anyway, let's move on to the charging test. As you can see here, I have both devices sitting at 45%, and what I'm going to do is be using two 25-watt chargers. However, I did get my hands on some cables that I've been wanting to get my hands on for a long time, and you know, usually Samsung will talk about the wattage of a device and everything. I thought it would be pretty cool to see if these devices actually get up to what Samsung says. So these cables right here, which you can't see in the dark, awkward, once I put them in, they'll start displaying the wattage. So let's go ahead and start by putting the cable into the Flip 3. All right, we got that one in, and then the one to the Flip 4. And as you can see right now, the devices are moving all over the place. But the Flip 3, I don't know if you can see this on camera, I'll probably magnify it. The Flip 3 is sitting at 14 watts. What Samsung stated is that it charges at a 15 watt rate, while the Flip 3 is at a 19 watt rate. And that's supposed to be able to charge up to 25. So let's go ahead and leave this for a few seconds, and I'll let you guys see if the wattage fluctuates. So yeah, this is very interesting. Samsung says that the Flip 4 can charge up to 25 watts, and as I'm seeing right here, it's stuck at 19 watts, while the Flip 3 is stuck at 14 watts, which is closer to what the max wired charging speeds are. So yeah, I like these cables. I think I'm gonna add these to a lot of my comparisons. Anyway, let's continue with this charging test. So it's about 4:21 right now, and I'm gonna come back in 30 minutes and see where these get to. Okay, so I am back after the 30 minutes. All right, so as it stands right now, the Flip 3 is at 84% and the Flip 4 is at 90%. So that 25 watt charging on the Flip 4 nets you about 6% more within a 30-minute time frame. Now is the time we get to take a look at the software on both devices. Now I'm going to go ahead and use just the Z Flip 4 because technically speaking, anything that's available on here would really be available on here, mostly anything that I'm about to show anyway. So let's get right into that part. Now, if you have gone ahead and used the Samsung device overall, you're not really going to find too many differences in terms of the software on the main display. However, on the cover display, you get to have your notifications and other things show up. You can even customize it to show different wallpapers here. And if you swipe to the left, you get your notifications. And if you swipe to the right, you'd have your widgets over here, the ones you would normally have on a lock screen. So this is pretty convenient because, you know, you can go ahead and start a timer from here if you want, look at your calendar. You can go ahead and control music if you are playing any, some events, which would also be in your calendar, I guess. Set some alarms. You can track your steps from here, do a voice recording. There's a few of these here, and really what they are meant to do is just give you that functionality of being able to look at information at a glance like I mentioned before. The way I kind of see this is that Samsung fused a Galaxy Watch into the cover screen of the Fold. However, the whole reason for me actually going over this stuff is to show you the basic functionality. If you want some advanced functionality, there is an application called Cover Screen OS, and it makes it so that you can use full applications on your device. The basic functionality of this application is to make it so that your cover screen is way more usable. You do have to go in and enable all 4 of these permissions, but essentially once you close your device and have it on your lock screen, if you go ahead and tap once, tap twice, or double tap, sorry, then tap one more time again, you'll notice here that I now have a full-on app drawer. And the cool thing about this is I can go down and use something like YouTube. Well, I have to unlock it with my fingerprint, but you can see that YouTube is right down here, and essentially I can scroll through any of these videos if I want to, and it's essentially just like a full-on OS. It's like an operating system for the cover screen. It's pretty cool, and there's a lot of things you can actually go ahead and do with it. Like if I wanted to even go ahead and use like something like the web browser, I guess you can even go ahead and do that. And here I was looking up some Norse mythology, playing God of War Ragnarok right now. Not gonna talk about that game because that's rated R, and I don't know if there are any kids watching. So yeah, I think this is pretty cool, and it's definitely something I wanted to talk about. And as you can see here, I'm even browsing the web without opening the phone. Now, of course, is this practical? I don't know. That depends on you. This is a pretty small screen, but I am glad to see that people are investing time into actually making that screen as usable as it can be. So that is it for this comparison. Hopefully this has given you a clear idea of what to expect when looking at either one of these devices. I can't necessarily say that Z Flip 4 makes extreme strides and everything. However, if this is a device that you are getting for the first time, if you're considering a flip device, this may definitely be the one to get. If you have a Z Flip 3 and you want to keep it, I hope the information in this video was helpful to you in deciding whether you should. So, as always, wherever you are in the world, have a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, or a great night, and I will see you in the next video, and thank you for watching.